This meeting was very useful for several reasons. Firstly, it brought together groups of civil society and think tanks from Southern Africa, but also from other parts of Africa as well. So the opportunity to network and to learn from one another. And secondly, the opportunity to cross-fertilize our ideas, because most of us are specialists in particular areas or sectors of development, areas that are pertinent to the issue to issues of prosperity, to issues of peace, to issues of development on the continent. And so the opportunity to listen to one another and exchange ideas with people that you probably wouldn't meet because they're not in your normal familiar circles was very helpful. And the opportunity to carry forward work that will have an impact in terms of influencing policy from this kind of holistic perspective, I think is very beneficial.
My thoughts on the African Civil Society meeting are that it's a very important process for African CSOs as it brings together regional CSOs so that they consolidate a common voice towards very pertinent issues that the continent is facing. I'll give you an example of the Financing for Development Conference and the Strategic Development Goals Conferences later this year. I think a common voice at these conferences will be able to amplify the African voice and make lasting solutions towards the African agenda.
One of the things that we have learned from the Millennium Development Goals is that our government now needs to focus on raising resources from within. Much as the developed world can help, they cannot do as much as we did in the past. So we have to think about how to raise the resources from home. I think at this time our government now need to think about how to be more effective in raising tax revenues.
So we have formed a small working group which is going to work mainly on defining Goal 16 of the Sustainable Development Goals. Our premise or our initial assumption is that these goals, they need to be, the goals and the targets, they need to be more defined and more articulated. Especially some of the targets are either too difficult to operationalize or too difficult to measure. And because of this, we would want to see more engagement in terms of research or writing papers together. So this is what we want to do.
This year, the world leaders will come together in September to declare on the SDGs. And this process has been going for 3 years, and a very ambitious and bold goals are coming through. To back this SDG processes, there is a Finance for Development meeting planned for July. The world leaders will be able to commit towards resources for SDG process. One thing which I would like to see is that the ambition of the Addis meeting to be transformational as well. The whole global financial architecture to be responsive to the SDG process rather than only focused on public sector finance.
The main focus of the discussion mainly was on financing for development, but we ended up focusing on the role of multinational corporations in evading and avoiding paying taxes in Africa and shifting profits to low tax jurisdictions, which are commonly known as tax havens.